Hi everybody, my name is Sandy Boucher and welcome back to The Learning Curve. Once again, this show is all about building understanding between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people in the city of Thunder Bay and in the district. We bring you information, not opinions, but information so that when you're having those conversations, whether it's in your boardroom or in your office or at your kitchen table, you can come at it from an informed place. We love to bring on guests that are going to be able to talk about those topics that just keep coming up, and today is no exception. Now, I'm not sure if you saw it, but a few weeks ago on Facebook, I posted an open invitation. I basically said that the Learning Curve is looking for guests, and if you have a topic that you would love to bring some clarity to, I invited you to get hold of me. Well, our guest today was the first person to respond, and his story is so valuable, and I am so touched that he was willing to share it and that he wanted you to hear this information. So, as always, I want you to go get your favorite drink, your coffee, head for that favorite chair, and come back in a few minutes as together you and I walk through the learning curve. Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Learning Curve. Once again, I'm Sandy Boucher and I get to be the host today, and my amazing guest for today is Luke Sagutch. Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah.
Yes, I got it. Now this is amazing for me because we're actually Facebook friends. And I always get excited when I finally get to meet one of my Facebook friends. But today, I actually had the opportunity to speak with you for a few minutes before we came into the studio, and I learned so much more about you than I knew from our telephone conversations. So, first and foremost, we always start the show with getting to know you as a person, right? Because we want to really stress that that's how you build bridges. It's not about talking about topics. It's getting to know people and actually having a real conversation and a real relationship with them. So I don't remember the answer to the question when we talked on the phone, but you're not born and raised Thunder Bay?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so where are you from?
Well, I'm originally from Neskantaga First Nation.
Okay.
And I was born about 30-40 miles north of Neskantaga. It's
Okay.
a little place called McPhail Lake.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a small little lake, and and that's where I was born. And I was born through a midwife.
Okay,
I
awesome.
don't even know if I'm registered on the registrar.
Wow.
Just kidding.
I think we did. We caught up, right? So you're a northerner in every sense of the word
Everything
here,
is
right?
sense of the word,
Okay.
yeah.
So I seem to remember you have a big family.
Yes, I do, yeah.
So how many siblings are we talking about here?
Well, including the deceased and the living ones, I think we're talking about 15.
Oh, whoa, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That's a big family,
Yeah.
yes. So you were all there. Now, you're in the middle of the bush, or was there a community there, or I'm just trying to get the
It's
picture here.
more of a trapping community there.
Okay.
So, and Lansdowne House was our trading center.
Okay,
So that's where my parents moved to when they sell their furs, and
okay.
and some summer activities that they do was the fishing, and everything was growing from there.
Okay,
So, and go back and forth, and we didn't actually live there permanently, but we always moved to either one area to another area. So,
Okay.
and I experienced a nomadic lifestyle, a very tail end of it.
okay.
And,
Did you enjoy it?
certainly I did enjoy it. I loved it, and because it was so peaceful, and you wake up and you hear the birds, you hear the squirrels, and you hear the loons,
Yeah.
and in the lake, and the lake was my bathtub.
Amazing. Because when you were describing it, I'm sitting here thinking, I know a whole bunch of people that would kill to have that life, right? Like that does sound amazing and peaceful. But the reason you're here today, well, I'm going to backtrack for a sec. So I put out this call on Facebook that I'm looking for guests, and it took you 5 seconds to message me. So I guess the first question is, why did you want to come on the show, or why did you think it was important?
Well, the reason why I wanted to come on the show is I want to tell my story and what I went through, not so much the negative part about it, but more on the positive aspects of my recovery from the residential school syndrome.
Exactly.
And that's my focus.
Okay. Way to go.
Yeah.
That's the definition of strong. Way to go, you. So I'm going to embarrass him because he's really humble. So I'm going to center him out here. But okay, so, and that's the topic for today. If you haven't figured it out, we are talking about residential school syndrome, and why it's so hard to just get over it is that horrible statement that we hear all the time. So we love talking about this, and we discuss it on Facebook, and we discuss it in coffee rooms and at our kitchen table, but the amount of people that actually know someone who's been through the schools, that's what we got to start considering. So I was so thrilled and honored that you were willing to come on and share your story. So you have this amazing life in the bush, and then something happens that changes.
That changes in 1962, the fall of 1962, and I know the night before I came out to the residential school, and I was told about it, and that I was going to be going to the residential school. I was one of them, and the other one was my sister. So, and there was others as well, but the thing is, the next morning is when I had a struggle, and when the plane came, that particular morning, I do remember walking out of the cabin where we lived, and it was peaceful. The wind was calm, the lake was glassy, and there was a little bit of a fog coming up because it was already in the fall. So, and it was so peaceful. And, within a few hours, we were at the place where we were going to be picked up. And parents who have their kids to go to school were already gathering at the particular place. And so we went. So I was told, "Are you ready to go?" I said, "Yeah, I'm ready to go," and I was all dressed up and all to go. And then I said, "Okay, let's go." And my parents were down the lake getting ready with the other kids, and I ran into the bush.
Changed my mind.
Changed my mind.
How old were you at this point?
I was about 12 years old.
Okay, so yeah,
And
changed
so-
my mind. I'm out of here. Okay.
About a year, and then my dad came after me and chased me around for about a good half an hour or so.
Okay.
And, he coaxed me in many ways, you're going to be alone and there's nobody here to play with and this and this and that. And I said, finally, after, a few, talks, and I said, okay. And I shut my mind and I went.
Okay, so you get on the plane.
I got on a plane, and the next morning, we arrived at McIntosh Indian Residential School.
Okay, which is close to Dryden, right?
Close to
the
Dryden,
present-day Dryden.
off of Million Bay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the closest place. So the feeling I experienced is that, as if I was in one good place, quiet place, and then all of a sudden, I'm in a different zone, as if I was transformed into a different dimension. And
Totally different world, right?
the whole complete different world. And I was awestruck with what I saw there. And I was excited about everything. I was exploring things. What is this? What is that? And then for me, I think I just closed everything in my body. I didn't feel the loneliness. I didn't feel I want to go home. I was like, sort of, in a way, excited about what I was exploring, what I was feeling into something new era.
Which is kind of typical 12-year-old boy, right? It's an adventure. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to check this out, right? You
Yeah.
had no idea.
I had
Right?
no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all I know is I was going to go to school, and
Right.
of course, we were placed in a big bedroom, a whole bunch of us, and then shortly thereafter, when the other kids started to arrive from different areas, all of a sudden there was a whole slew of kids, as if there was a flock of ducks coming into the lake, and that's how I felt, and all of a sudden I got scared,
Okay.
and I shut down again, and I sort of went into myself, and eventually I had to come out and be part of with the crowd, but it took me a while.
You got sent there with your sister, did you?
Yeah,
Okay. And then I think 2 other siblings got sent somewhere else,
they
right?
went somewhere else. Yeah,
Okay. So I'm not sure you would know, but I guess that it's not uncommon that siblings and families were split up like that, right?
yeah.
Okay. So when you were at the school, were you allowed to see your sister? Did you get to interact with even the girls at all, or was it boys, girls totally separated?
Well, periodically we were allowed to be with female girls and visit our sisters. So,
Okay.
we have a big, large playground. Sometimes we did something, either a picnic or
Some
or
kind of activity.
Some kind of activity.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And you were 12. How long did you stay at McIntosh or go to school there? I should
I
say?
went there 3 years, and we'd go home every 10 months and stuff like that. Between the 2 months I went home, I wasn't really at home because I was working.
Okay. You went home for the summer,
Yeah.
right? Did you get to go home at Christmas time?
No, I never did.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
stayed at the school for
I
then
stayed
too?
at the school, even Easter break, and I know some kids went home. We knew that, and a whole lot of us didn't go.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Would you believe we're coming up on break time already? That first section has already flown by. So we are going to come back and hear more of Luke's story. But as always, I want you to go refill that drink of yours and head back to your comfy chair. And we'll see you in a few moments when we come back to the learning curve. Hi everybody, and once again welcome back to the Learning Curve. I'm Sandy Boucher, and today we're here with Luke Sagutch. And we're talking about his residential school experience. So I'm going to put you right on the spot here. Do you want to give me a ballpark on how old you are?
Right now,
Yep.
69.
Okay. It's like, if you don't want to tell me, if you want to, okay. So you are very active in this community now. Like, this is the stuff I was learning before we were talking, before the show started, when we were talking. So you do a lot of volunteer work.
I do, yeah. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the people you work with, are they survivors as well, primarily?
Primarily, they're all survivors. Some of them are intergenerational survivors, and
Right.
most of them are. And there's 2 of the young people that I came across, and they kind of give me an encouragement to carry on what I believe I need to do, and and I'm happy about that, and and because I don't need to live on the negative side of the effects of the residential school,
Yeah.
because I don't want to. It's not healthy for me or anybody else for that matter.
Exactly.
You know, I need to get out of it, and it's good. It's an experience that we have. I had as well, and I know a lot of people that survived. You know, some that are a little older than I am. I know who they are, and they survived through. And some of them don't want to talk about it. That's fine. That's their business. And myself, I think I'm destined to do this, and because I have come to know myself, who I am.
Yeah.
And I don't mind sharing that, who I am, because, you see, the residential school was dictated to kill the Indian in the child.
Yep.
Yes, I was the child. But the fact is, I was not an Indian.
Yeah.
I never was.
Yeah.
And I never will be.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be one.
Well, and I just love your attitude. I just have to say that, because anyone who knows my story and my career, I'm a 10-year domestic abuse survivor. And in the same way, like, I don't want to minimize what happened to you in the school or minimize my experience, but I don't want to live in that negativity. I know women who have gone through that, and they're so angry, and they're trapped in it. And that wasn't the life I wanted to leave. Like you said, it was an experience, and it was what it was, but that doesn't have to dictate who I am, right? In the same way as you, right?
Exactly. I asked myself many years ago, it says, after going through the history of my residential school, and because I experienced an abuse as well, and I asked myself, what can I learn from this? How can I turn things around?
Yep.
I don't have to turn things around on the outside.
Yep.
I have to turn things around from within.
I think we're related. We keep saying the same things. It's like, I'm pretty sure I said that in seminar just last week. So
that's what I've been doing. And and the people that I work with, even on privately, that's what I teach them, is that you have to start from within.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what it is.
So we're going to backtrack for a sec. So you went to the school, you came out eventually, and now you're a grown man. You went on to have a family. How many kids?
Well, I got 6 kids.
Okay. I was like, don't you say 15. I was like, did this happen again? So 6 kids. Now, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, your wife was also a residential school survivor.
She was.
Okay. So parenting, that had to be a challenge.
Well, parenting was very challenging because I didn't know anything about parenting.
Right.
So my parenting was yelling and screaming and being regimental.
Right.
Because that's what I learned in the residential school.
Exactly. We learned how to parent from our parents. You
Yeah.
didn't have parents. You were in the school.
Yeah.
I mean, you had parents, but you
I
weren't
didn't
allowed
get
to be with them.
I didn't get a chance to learn what is like to be a parent from my parents.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're very regimental, you're yelling, you're screaming. That has to have an effect on your children. I assume they're all grown now. You have grandchildren now.
I do have grandchildren. I have 16.
Okay, then we're going to go back up to that 15, 16 again. Okay, it seems to be the numbers you like. Okay.
And, of course, and I also have 16 great-grandchildren.
Wow, and there's 16 again. Wow, this is a huge family.
It is.
I got to ask, is Grandpa different from Dad? Or great-grandpa, is he different from Dad?
Well, I don't know anything about my grandparents.
No, but I mean, you as a grandfather, are you different than you were as a dad?
Not really. I'm
you
still struggling.
okay?
But,
That's honest. Yeah.
And I'm struggling, but I'm changing, and I know, I like to spend a little bit more time. Those I can spend more time because my kids and grandkids are all scattered all over Ontario, and and here and there.
Yeah. So it's hard.
It's hard
to have that tie. Now, I remember you saying that this really didn't come up for you. You really didn't think about residential school or the effects of the school until the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, right?
Precisely. And I have to consult somebody that experienced this sexual abuse or some abuse in a residential school, and I explained to this guy what I went through, and he says, it is. Now it's up to you from there. And that's exactly what I did. First of all, I had to do my healing before I can get into Truth and Reconciliation part of it.
I can only imagine, yeah.
It was a struggle, but I dare to challenge myself.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe from you. You're just going to go through it. So you don't need to answer this if you don't want to, but when you say you had to do your healing, what helped? Like, what did you do for your healing?
Well, I talk about my experience, how I felt,
okay.
And the detrimental stuff that I went through, okay. Because I went through a whole lot, It's not just the abuse and the loneliness and all that stuff. I went through alcohol abuse and women relationships, with my wife, and my wife and I got separated and eventually got divorced. And so all those things that I didn't understand. So, and I was confused. What's going on with my life? What's happening here? So I have to sort of clear the wreckage of my life of the past and to come to understand what life is all about for me. Not about the next person, for me. And that's where the change happen. Without that, I wouldn't. And like I said, earlier, I said, where was I at fault? What were some of the things I overlooked, not to recognize some of these things. But I had to backtrack ever so often, to make that clear direction for myself. And when I do that, I'm empowering myself to follow what I need to follow.
Excellent. We call it unpacking the suitcase, right? Looking at that baggage we're carrying and, okay, like, I got to look at this, right? Like you said, what was that phrase you just said? Looking at the wreckage of my life. Been there, done that, right? It's like, okay, I took a wrong turn somewhere and now I got to figure out what's going on, right? So
it's it's been a struggle, and I know, and I've accepted. Of course, I didn't accept it in the beginning.
Right.
I fought it, and I wanted to turn things around the way I want things done.
Yeah.
But eventually, because after banging my head against the brick wall so many times, there's something wrong here, something wrong with the picture. So once I did that, I turned around and said, okay, go the other way.
Yeah.
What can I learn from these experiences? How can I make myself more human?
Wow. And not only did you do that for yourself, you're now using that to help others.
Exactly.
With your circles and helping them to talk and share.
My friend that brought me here,
Yep.
Him and I worked together on these things.
Yep. That's amazing. Talking, right? And especially women talk. We talk, we share everything, but men, you're not always encouraged to talk, and it's harder if you're not. So that's amazing.
It is. Like I said, when it took me a while too, like when I was talking about not being an Indian, it took me a while to find out that I am an Ojibwe Anishinaabe.
Yeah.
How did I do that? I had to go find my clan.
Excellent.
To complete me as Anishinaabe.
What's your clan?
Sturgeon.
Okay. Back to the waters again.
Yeah.
That's your home base.
Yeah, and then I received a name and
awesome.
That I carry, and I also, after that, a lot of things happened in my life, good things.
Yeah. When I found my name, it all became crystal clear suddenly. So, would you believe we're out of time? That was incredibly fast. But thank you so much for coming out today, Luke,
Thank you.
and sharing your story. So, Miigwetch.
Miigwetch.
Once again, thank you for turning into the show, and please take the information you learned today and use it in those conversations. We really got to move away from this. Why don't you just get over it? Walking a mile in your moccasins is a cliche, but when you actually think of what it would have done to your family to have the experiences that so many Indigenous people have had, then we get closer to building the bridge and actually walking through the learning curve together. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you next time on The Learning Curve.